Hey everybody, welcome to our training today. I am Mike Maitland and I hope that you're ready to learn a little bit from me today. Thank you for taking the time to come into this training. We're going to go through a lot today, so I'm going to just crack on with it. If you're watching this live, just give me a hashtag live in the comments. If you're watching a replay, do hashtag replay in the comments, and that means that we can notify more people about this live. Now, give me a second. I'm just going to get back to my stuff here. Okay, dokie. All right. So this presentation is called How Not to Suck at Teaching Abroad, and where most people fail, and how to avoid mistakes and how to have success. Okay, so there's going to be 3 secrets we're going to talk about today. Secret number 1 is the number 1 reason new teachers fail. It's not what you think. Secret 2 is what every happy teacher abroad has in common, and most people don't figure this out. And secret number 3 is the hardest part of teaching abroad that no one warns you about. So who is TEFL Heaven? Well, we've sent over 3,000 people to teach abroad over 16 years. We specialize in TEFL programs and guaranteed placement programs. So we send you abroad in 9 different countries in Europe, Asia, and Latin America. And in Europe, we send you to Barcelona, Spain, Madrid, Spain, Prague in the Czech Republic, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, Japan, South Korea, Costa Rica, and Mexico. All right, so let's get into how not to suck at teaching abroad. Before we go into it, let's just tell you who I am. There's a nice smiley picture of me, and there's a bit more of an intimidating picture of me. This is me in a studio looking fierce. So I thought I'd put this on the presentation to build my authority. But why listen to me? So I'm the founder of TEFL Heaven. So I'm actually the owner of the company, the founder of the company. I started it 16 years ago. I'm a trainer of trainers. So I actually have trained TEFL trainers and trained TEFL trainees and teachers and what like. So I have a lot of knowledge to give. I've got a bachelor's degree in business, got first class honors, which means I basically tried really hard. I have a PGCE, which is a teacher certificate in the UK, and I have a TEFL. I've got 20 years in the TEFL industry, and I smell great. All right, so this is what you're going to learn today. Secret number 1, the number 1 reason new teachers fail is not what you think. So if you can give me in the comments some ideas of what you think the number 1 reason that new teachers fail is. If you want to put your comments in there, I will read them out as we go along. But as we're chatting, I want to tell you a little bit about my story. This is me. You wouldn't believe, in May 2005, in Birmingham Airport, and there's 3 of us here that go to Thailand. So me on the left, and then my friend in the middle, and then this girl at the side. And I actually was chasing her to kind of court her. She wasn't really interested in me though, but I wanted to go and teach abroad. I wanted to grow. I wanted adventure. I'd heard that if you can speak English, you can teach English. And this girl was going to teach English abroad in Thailand. And I said, hey, can I come on your trip? And so I went with these 2. They went to the north of Bangkok. I went to the south of Bangkok, and I started my adventure. Now, I did not know anything about TEFL, never heard the acronym, Teaching English as a Foreign Language. TEFL, never heard that in my life. At that time, didn't have any training, didn't have a clue what I was getting myself in for. I actually booked my flights, and then 2 weeks later, I was in Thailand teaching. And I had only 1 hour observation of my boss, who taught me how she would teach a lesson, and she was Thai. And then after that, she turned around to me and she was like, okay, now you're the teacher for the next 5 hours. And I was like, what? I didn't even know that she was going to do that to me. And so then the class started coming in, and I had no clue what I was doing. I just copied exactly what she just did. And I got through the day. I managed to get through the week, but I did not get through the month. 3 weeks later, the boss's sister came, and she was super angry. She came to the school that I was at, and she was like, really, really fiercely angry. I've never really seen a Thai person angry before, and I never have since that time, actually. And it's because the school had complained about my teaching, and I couldn't teach. I didn't know how to teach. No one had taught me how to teach. And she was like, if you don't get better in a week, I'm going to have to ask you to quit. And so I had no experience, didn't know what I was doing, but they expected me to be good anyway. So the number one reason that new teachers fail is that they aren't patient with themselves, they lose confidence, and they become discouraged. Now, this is the way that they treated me. They weren't patient with me, they lost confidence in me, and I got discouraged. And discouragement in a foreign country can be really hard. At the start of the week, I decided, you know what, I'm going to try really hard here. I went to Tesco Lotus and I bought some clothes that the kids could all chase with. So I had like a big shirt, had like shorts, and that was the language for the week: shirt, shorts, pants, whatever. They always go for the American spelling of pants rather than trousers, which is how I would say it. And I did races with the kids, and I tried really hard that week to get better. However, at the start of the week, they had employed somebody else, and they were observing lessons, and I was like, "Hey, how are you employed? There's no spaces." And basically, they were just waiting until the end of the week to fire me, and they'd already hired somebody else. So at the end of the week, they asked me to quit, and I said, "Well, I'm not going to quit." And they were like, "But we're asking you to quit." I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to quit." And then eventually that night, they called me up and said, "Okay, you're fired." But I still had to ask them, like, "Hey, am I fired?" They're like, "Yeah." So they couldn't even tell me to my face that I was fired. But after that, I got a job teaching adults part-time, and then I went back to the UK, and then a year later, I got married to the girl that I had chased across to Thailand. And then we went back to Thailand, and I got proper training, and I got more confidence, and the training helped me a lot. And when I got back to the UK, I started recruiting people to Thailand and then to other countries. And now there's been thousands of people who have been sent to teach abroad in over 15 different countries at different times. So one thing I want to emphasize here is that, the number one purpose that you have as a teacher is to make sure that you're on the ball and that you're paying attention to the students. Now, when I was a TEFL trainer, and when I was training the trainers, I used to ask them, what is the number one reason that your purpose as a TEFL trainer? They would say things like, "Oh, teach them how to teach." I'm like, "No, you need to teach them how to teach, but there's another purpose." Share cultural things. I'll be like, "No, that's not it either." It is to inspire confidence, because everyone sucks at first. And this is the same thing when you go abroad. The worst teachers aren't the ones that make mistakes. They're the ones who think that they shouldn't. The best beginners, they accept that they'll mess up, and because of that, they'll get better ridiculously fast. And so most people think success is great lessons every time, knowing what to do at every moment, having every student's attention all the time, having students that love you from day one, having total classroom control, never losing your cool, not messing up at all, always feeling confident. But actually, success is knowing that you'll get better, looking at where you need to learn, and turning up despite messing up or feeling crap about it. And so discouragement can be really hard. And what I've noticed with new teachers is that they try and expect themselves to be perfect right from the get-go. And when they have a bad lesson, or when they have a student that's not paying attention, they take it really, really hard, and they end up feeling crap about it. And it can get you quite depressed. You can feel like there's no escape and you're not going to get better at this. The attitude to have, though, is the same as Thomas Edison's. He said, "I've not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. Our greatest weakness lies in giving up." And so, I don't know if you know about this, but there is the Dunning-Kruger effect. So the Dunning-Kruger effect is that the least competent people often overestimate their ability, while competent people underestimate theirs. And what that means is that most new teachers go in, they start their first lesson, and every single little mistake, or every time the kids aren't paying attention or they're not able to follow the lesson plan, they take it really hard, and it can be quite discouraging. And so the way to overcome that is to recognize that you're going to make mistakes, and actually your purpose is not to be good all the time. Your purpose is to learn and to get experience. So they just assume that they know. The best teachers accept that they don't know yet, and that's what keeps them learning. So here's a quote from one of my mentors. He says, "Please don't nag yourself with thoughts of failure. Do not set goals far beyond your capacity to achieve. Simply do the best you can do in the best way that you know how." All right, so learning to teach is like driving a car, or learning to drive. And I know there's a lot of online TEFL courses out there. We also have an online TEFL course. You can only learn so much online. You can only learn so much from a book. You can only learn so much from ChatGPT. If you got in the car with me and I said I got my driving license online, I don't think you'd have any confidence in me, right? So learning to teach is like learning to drive. You just need to have more experience. And the more experience you have, the better that you get at it. Everybody sucks at first. That's normal. The dangerous ones are the ones who think that they shouldn't suck. So sometimes someone's had like an online TEFL course, they go into the classroom and they feel so unprepared. And that's because they haven't actually done any teaching yet. And so the difference between failing teachers and growing teachers isn't skill, it's attitude. So what's the secret? So the secret is bring energy and learn like crazy. And that's how you stop sucking faster than everyone else. You just fake confidence. Fake it until you make it. So I'm going to give you some shortcuts to some confidence here as soon as you start teaching abroad. Here are some of the ways that you can fast track your confidence, and really it's more like a shield for when you start teaching. So connection. So they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Okay, when you connect with the kids, when you pay attention to the kids, what it does is it gets your mind away from you and it gets your mind on them. And when you start teaching in the first month, you'll be doing your lessons and you'll be thinking about, okay, how did I perform that? Did I follow the lesson plan here? Did I do this game good? Did I do this activity well? And you're just thinking you. But after a month, when you get a little bit more experience, a little bit more comfortable, and you start seeing what works, what doesn't work, it switches from you thinking about you to you thinking about them. Oh, did Jimmy get that there? Hey, was he paying attention? Let me try and switch this up a little bit. What's he doing? How can I reach this guy? And then as long as you connect with the kids in that way, then you'll have an enjoyable experience and you'll gain more confidence. So paying attention to the kids is an absolute key, and connecting with the kids is absolute key to you gaining confidence, especially if they respond well to you. Okay, if you don't connect with the kids, that's the sure way to losing your confidence, because you're not really enjoying it. Like, the part of enjoying teaching is connecting with the kids. Okay, so the second shortcut to confidence is engagement. So once you connect with the kids, you can learn what they like. Let's say they like Spider-Man, or they like K-pop Demon Hunters, which, by the way, all kids love K-pop Demon Hunters right now. You can start to do games with K-pop Demon Hunters, games with Spider-Man. You can organize games that you know are going to connect and build in the language using the games. So if you help them have fun, they have a fun game, you're going to get confident a lot quicker because you see that they're enjoying it. So confidence comes from engagement, it comes from connection. Another way to increase your confidence as a shortcut is to bring energy. So how you show up is 90% of the battle. If you come to your teaching placement and you are scared and you're quite anxious and you can't get out of your own head, and then you try and do your lesson plan, the kids are going to feel that. Like how much energy you bring to the classroom is going to vibrate to them. They're going to be like, okay, this guy's boring, or he's speaking in a monotonous way. If you don't bring your energy, then you've almost lost completely. So I would say that energy is probably one of the main things that will help you have more confidence. Fake it until you make it. Fake energy, like you might not feel it, you might not feel confident, but just be energetic anyway, be excited, be interested, be enthusiastic to connect with them, and you will gain confidence. Okay, so another little shortcut is get TEFL training. So obviously you're not the first teacher in the world, you won't be the last. There's many people who have done this before and they have learned all the tricks of the trade. You can stand on their shoulders and you can teach with lessons and games and activities that actually work. And you can learn them in TEFL training. And more than that, you can actually practice it. So when you are practicing the games with your peers, you can see what works, what doesn't work. And then when you get to the actual classroom, you will have already tried it a couple of times, so you don't have to think so much about how the activity runs, how the lesson plan runs. So TEFL training is a shortcut to confidence. So here we go. Secret number one, the number one reason new teachers fail was that they lose confidence too quickly. Okay, so we're now on secret number two, what every happy teacher abroad has in common, and most don't figure it out. I'm going to give you this straight this time. Obviously, I've been through a lot of teachers in my time, and the ones that are not happy are not doing it for the right reasons. And this is also the number one reason that people leave their placement and even leave the country, because they've came for the wrong reasons. So let me tell you about Jessica. So this is me with three of my kids. I've actually got 5 kids on Ko Chang. I didn't want to show Jessica's face, and I've changed her name as well. But she was a trainee on Ko Chang. She was learning to teach. And I should have saw this a bit earlier, but she was very anxious. And they were all at the bar at midnight, and she was with some other trainee. And then she went to the toilet. She came back, and the trainee had left. And she got really angry. And so she got a taxi. She came back to the resort, and she felt like she'd been abandoned. Really, her friend had just went home, not knowing that she was having to wait for her, and she started shouting in the middle of the night, waking everybody up, being totally angry and chewing this other girl out for going home or going back to the resort without her. But we kept her on the program. She went to her placement, and she was also really aggressive there, and she just didn't come for the right reasons. So the school called me up and said, "Hey, can I fire her?" I was like, "Well, obviously, yeah, it's up to you. It's nothing to do with me." So they let her go, and I called up Jessica, and because we love our trainees no matter what they do, I was like, do you want me to help you get another job? She said yes. So I called up my other friend in Thailand, got her a job with him, and she ended up getting fired from that position as well. And the reason why she got fired from that position is because she went on holiday to an island when it was a break, and instead of coming back for the Monday, she just called in and said, "I'm going to stay a bit longer on the island. I just want to have a longer holiday." And if you say that to your employer, you're going to get fired right on the spot. So she got fired right on the spot. And she was there because, I don't know why she was really there, but she obviously was there to have a good time and not for the kids, not for the kids. So there's always higher and more helpful reasons, okay? So an unhelpful reason is that you want to teach well. So we just talked about this, right? So you want to teach well, but if you make that your highest reason and you don't teach well, then you're going to crumble. And this is us going back to secret number one, right? So what's more helpful there is that you want to be focused on learning how to teach. And for actually going abroad, an unhelpful highest reason, I'm not saying it should be not a reason, because everyone wants to have fun, everyone wants to explore, but if that's the main reason, then you're going to struggle. And what's more helpful is that if your highest reason is personal growth or contribution to education or helping the students. So your motivation is your compass. It points towards self. If it points towards yourself, you're going to wander in circles. You're always lost. You're comparing yourself. You're frustrated. If it points towards service, you move forward even in the fog. You can have multiple reasons for doing teaching abroad, travel, adventure, growth, but I would suggest that your true north, your true reason for being there is your students and contribution. Now, Tony Robbins says that if you're focused on yourself, then self-focus creates suffering. And we're all selfish at times, but if you stay selfish, you suffer. And I truly believe that all suffering is selfish. And if we get out of ourselves, then start to do things for other people, like, for example, contribute to education, help the kids, then we're never going to go wrong. But if we are there for the wrong reasons, like if we just want to have fun, that means that if you don't have fun, like if you're having a bad class, your main reason there is to enjoy yourself, not to grow, then you're going to give up a lot faster than if you were there for the kids, because you'll always get your goal if you're there for the kids, but you won't always get your goal if you're there to have fun or to explore or to have a vacation or whatever. And so I just wanted to warn you about that. Okay, so this is self-determination theory. So I was just explaining that there. There was a motivation experiment in the 1970s. Oh, what the heck? Hold on. And I don't think I can tell yet because I cannot see. Okay, hold on. So there were two groups of students that were observed, and one group was paid to solve puzzles. Another group wasn't paid to solve puzzles. And the other group who weren't paid, they were told it was just for fun. Now, when the paid group stopped getting paid, they lost interest quite easily. But when the group who was doing it for fun continued on, they just continued on. They didn't lose interest. And they discovered something, that external rewards can actually kill internal motivation. Okay, so self-determination theory is that we perform our best when our reason is internal, for growth or for mastery or contribution. So in teaching abroad, if your main motivation is travel or validation, your energy fades once things get hard. But if your purpose is connection and impact, you stay in the game even when the class feels like chaos. Now, you probably have heard of this book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And he basically was imprisoned in Auschwitz, and he lost everything, his family, his home, his freedom. But he noticed something extraordinary about some of the prisoners that stayed alive. They always had something that was intrinsic. So one man said, I have to survive because my daughter might still be alive. Another one said, I must live to finish my scientific work. And he realized that when people have meaning, they can endure almost any suffering. So those that have a why or a strong purpose to live can bear almost any how. Now, there's also some other studies, so I'm just trying to hammer this point home, because if your motivation is in the wrong place, if you're not doing it for the students, you're going to struggle. And if you do it for the students, you're going to be fine. So here are some studies. So teachers who describe their motivation as making a difference report significantly lower burnout and higher engagement. Teachers that are driven by altruistic motives, such as working with children, helping others, show greater commitment and persistence in the profession. Even people that before they started teaching with service-oriented reasons for entering teachers displayed long-term dedication and well-being. And reviews of teacher motivation research confirm that intrinsic and contribution-based goals lead to better classroom outcomes and lower stress. So don't just take my word for it. There has been studies all about this. If you teach for adventure, you'll eventually be bored. If you teach for validation, you'll eventually get drained because you won't get that validation all the time. But if you teach for contribution, you'll find meaning even on the bad days. So this is how you overcome bad days. You get over the mindset of you're doing it for you and you try and do it for other people. Okay, so what every happy teacher abroad has in common, and most never figure it out. Now, I've shared this with you guys I don't know whether it's going to go in or not. It's hard to apply these things, especially when it's so hard to change. If you're already a certain sort of person, it may be difficult. But anyway, their highest reason is to contribute. That is the answer. All right. So secret number 3, the hardest part of teaching abroad that nobody warns you about. All right. So what could this be? I'm going to warn you about it. Here are your attachments. So every one of us has many different attachments that make up our identity. And your attachments might be you go to the gym regularly, you get your hair cut at a certain place. I know I get a beard cut and a haircut at the exact same place every week, but not for a few weeks actually, because that's why I'm looking a bit beardy right now. You might go to a coffee house that's nearby, maybe a nice Starbucks that you like. You got certain friends that come and visit you. You have a certain set diet that you like eating. You visit with family members on a Thursday. You go for walks in a nice wood near your home. You wear certain clothes. You like certain chocolate. You go to certain shops. You eat at certain restaurants. You got your hobbies. You got your routines. You got your job and your career. And when you move abroad to teach, you don't just change countries. You lose your attachments, the small invisible habits that make you feel like you. So if you look at this again, this is kind of like a bit of a shield. You know, you've got this stable sort of identity around you. When you move abroad, you basically lose almost all of that shield and you become naked. And you might feel naked as well. You might feel unstable. You might feel down. You're stripped of your identity. Okay, so when new teachers abroad get impatient, homesick, or negative, it's not just stress, it's identity withdrawal. They've lost all the things that made them solid and stable. But here's the secret. If they can stay flexible, curious, and open long enough, the new attachments start to form and a new identity begins to emerge. But it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. So the answer is you're having an identity shift, and that's okay. It's okay to have an identity shift. Your identity used to live in your habits and attachments. But when you're abroad, it lives in your attitude. So we're going to talk a little bit about that right now. So that's the third answer. You're having an identity shift. The identity shift is the hardest part of teaching abroad. You're thrown into a brand new place. You've got brand new habits forming, a new career. I think the 5 most stressful life events are getting married, getting divorced, getting a new job, moving, and the death of a family member. And so you've got 2 of the 5 there, a brand new job and moving. And so those are 2 stressful life events. And really it's because you're, it's because you start having a new identity in those 2 things. So as you form your new identity, you need the right attitude or your life may fall apart. So attitude diseases are deadly. Okay, so we're going to talk about some attitude diseases here. They'll destroy all the good things that you start. So here's how to spot them and the cures. So I'm going to go through this. Indifference, okay? So what's the opposite of love? Not hate, but indifference. And indifference is basically a lack of interest, concern, sympathy towards someone or something. Okay, so you can start being excited and then you can get discouraged when you arrive abroad because things are just becoming so hard. You just become numb to everything and you just stop trying. But in order to be successful, you give it your best shot. You know, you don't want to float. That's being indifferent. You can't float to the top of the mountain. You just got to try, even if it's hard. Just give it your very best shot because you've committed to it. And if you ever start to feel indifferent, you have to kind of talk to yourself and coach yourself and be like, okay, I've committed to this. I'm doing this. I was excited at the beginning. I can be excited now. It's just hard. Sometimes when it's hard, we think it's wrong. Sometimes when it's hard, we think it's wrong. But it's not wrong. It's just hard. It's just hard. And if you're going through something that's hard, and you might be feeling it's wrong, just remember, it might not be wrong. It's just probably hard. And having an identity shift is hard. Okay, so another one is indecision, because you're going to be faced with a lot of decisions when you move abroad, and you're not going to know the answer to many of these decisions. What activity will you use with the kids? What activity fits with the age range? Where will you go for your lunch? Where will you go for your dinner? Where will you go at the weekend? You know, you've got a ton of decisions to make. You can be undecided, which is different. You just delayed making a decision. But indecision is where you don't know what to decide, and you don't decide. And it's when you're scared to make decisions. But the faster you make a decision, the faster you know you went the wrong way. And you can go back and change your decision. But if you don't make a decision, you're going to end up feeling scared, indifferent. Again, indecision can cause indifference. And a life full of adventure is a life full of many decisions. And so don't be afraid of these decisions. All right, the next attitude disease is doubt. And there's lots of different doubts that can stop you from doing things, but self-doubt is the worst. Doubting if you'll do well, doubting if this is a good step for you. You know, if you started off feeling good about it and you get in the country and then you have a couple of bad steps and you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm cut out for this after all. I've seen teachers absolutely crumble with self-doubt, and it's not even the reality. Like sometimes the mistake is just so small, and luckily we're there to give them the encouragement. But if we weren't there, then they might have given up, you know. And a lot of people do give up because they have self-doubt. But doubt makes great damage to your soul, and the cure is to be a believer. Believe, and what better thing to believe in than to believe in yourself, that you can do this, and you can do it. Many people have done it. Many people with less skills are doing it. It's not about skills, it's about attitude. So the best thing to believe in is yourself. Another disease, an attitude disease, is worry. Okay, worry causes health problems, social problems. It can reduce you to your knees. I used to be a super worrier, not a super warrior, a super worrier. And I'm glad I've managed to get over that mostly, but still at times, you know, I do with a lot of these things, I end up doing these things. So I'm not saying I'm perfect in all these things, but my advice is give it up. Give up worrying. It's not easy to give up, you know, but it's worth it. Being free of worry is much better than worrying and spending your time in negative thoughts. Another disease is overcaution. You can be reckless, you can be too cautious, you have to live a little. It's all risky. Okay? He that is overcautious will accomplish but very little. Okay? Going abroad's risky, but staying at home is risky. You know, everything's risky. You can, if you stay at home, you might risk having a boring life. If you go abroad, you might risk breaking a leg, or you might risk something else. Like everything's risky. You know, you might risk being disappointed, but you might be disappointed at home. So just give it a go. All right, another one is pessimism. So another attitude disease is pessimism, always looking on the negative side of things. You know, if teachers are like this, then it's just really hard to work with them. Like I've worked with teachers like this, and you know, everything that you say, they just look at the negative side. It's like they're batting off all the positive things. You give them a compliment, they're like, no, it's not that, it's this. And you're like, well, what about this great thing? It's like, no, well, what? I'll tell you something negative. And it's like, it's so frustrating trying to get through to these teachers. They're always the people that say that the glass is half empty. They look out the window at the sunset. Instead of seeing the sunset, they see the specks on the window, you know? So you can change the way that you think, and it will really help you when you're going abroad. And the last disease here is complaining. Okay, so what's that saying? Nothing's so bad that whining won't make it worse. And if you spend 5 minutes complaining, you've just wasted 5 minutes. So the cure is to suck it up, deal with it, and don't take life so seriously. Okay. So the number one reason new teachers fail, and it's not what you think, they lose confidence too quickly. Okay. Secret number 2 is every happy teacher abroad has this in common. Their highest reason is to contribute. And the hardest part of teaching abroad that no one warns you about is your identity shift, which the cure is to have the best attitude possible. Okay, this is how not to suck at teaching abroad. It might seem very, very simple, but actually all these reasons put together will give you success. And the best teachers are the ones that take everything on the chin, are flexible, are patient, have faith in themselves, know that they're here to learn, to grow, and to contribute, and enjoy the rewards, enjoy going to the beaches and the islands, enjoy all the great cultural things, but are set in their purpose and know what they're here for. So the hard way is to go and teach abroad by yourself, and you can go away and you can find a job, you can get flights and figure out visas and all that. That is the hard way to do it. The easy way is to get support and to go through TEFL Heaven, which is our company. And what you get is you get friends, training, and support. So as I've just explained, I've got 20 years in the TEFL industry, and we help people to understand what it is they're about to get themselves in for. We have group training, so that's where you make friends, and you also get support from the trainers, staff, and of course you learn how to teach, and you gain confidence as you practice the teaching. Okay, so we have positions in Europe, in 2 places in Spain and 1 in Prague. We have positions in Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, Japan, and South Korea. We also have Latin American positions in Costa Rica and Mexico. Now, each one of these positions have different requirements. Some places like Mexico and Costa Rica, you don't need to have a degree. Most of the Asian placements you do, but Cambodia you don't. And we also have a type of placement in South Korea where you don't need a degree either, which is an assistant program. And there's one special type of program in Thailand where you don't need a degree either. But you normally need a degree in Thailand, but we have a program where you can teach English without a degree. Vietnam, you do need a degree. And Barcelona and Spain and Prague, you don't need a degree. So these are all placements that we've been sending people to for years. We specialize in TEFL programs and guaranteed placement programs. So you can go and do a 3-week TEFL or a 4-week TEFL, depending on the program, and make friends, and then afterwards get a guaranteed job in that country. Or you can go on a placement program where you have 1 week's orientation as a group, normally, depending on what country it is. And then you make friends in that 1 week, and then you start your placement afterwards. So we just have placement programs as well. If you've already got a TEFL, then you can go on that. If it's an online TEFL, though, I would suggest that you do the TEFL training that we offer. And even if you've already got a TEFL, the TEFL training is good to do, again, because you get a time to break into the country, make friends, as I said, and sort of take it a bit gently before you launch into a guaranteed paid teaching job. So if you have any questions, you can post them in the chat right now. I don't know if you're on the web page, you might not be able to see the chat. You have to actually go into YouTube for that. So that's one thing. But if you do have any questions, post in the chat and I will answer them right now. Otherwise, you can go to, and I'm looking at the chat at the side of me, just in case there's any questions. Otherwise, if you're interested in teaching abroad through TEFL Heaven, you can go to teflheaven.com. You can use the form on the website, and we get back within a day. And we're actually a family business. So my daughter Ellie is one of the people that will reply to you. She's just turned 18 and she's moved to the UK. We live here in Thailand. There's me and my wife and my 4 kids now, because my oldest daughter is now 18 and has moved back to the UK, but she actually deals with the emails, so she would reply to you. But if you use the form on the website, and you can ask any questions, and we'll get back to you, and we'll give you all the details of all of our programs. So it doesn't look like there's any chat messages, probably because everyone's watching this on the web page and doesn't have access to the chat, because you can only get to the chat on YouTube if you're watching it on the native YouTube app rather than the web page. But thank you very much. This is Mike Maitland, and if there's no questions, then I encourage you to apply. Obviously, ask questions first, and then we'll let you know how the programs run. And I've been living it. Just a little bit more about me, just in case some questions come into the chat. I've been living in Thailand for almost 13 years. In March, it'll be 13 years. And I've loved living here. Thailand is our flagship program. So we've sent the most people to Thailand. And I've got to know people who have come to Thailand more. I haven't been to many of the other countries. I've been to some, but not them all. But Thailand is our flagship country. If you're interested in teaching English in Thailand, I thoroughly suggest Thailand, because it's got great weather. It's hot all the time, apart from December, where it drops down to 19 degrees Celsius. So in Fahrenheit, that's going to be 19 times 2, 38 plus 30, 68 degrees Fahrenheit in December, which is coming up. So looking forward to that. You have beaches and islands. So there's tons of places to go for vacations. The food is amazing. I have chicken fried rice every lunchtime right now. The Bangkok is amazing, and the people are amazing. The language is great. I love speaking Thai, and the career is good as well. You've got career progression here. You can teach English in Thailand in a Thai school. You can get more qualifications. You can start teaching in an international school later on, which is what a lot of our trainees have done. Some people have been staying here for 10 years. Would you believe it? 10 years. That we brought them over 10 years ago, and they're still here, which is absolutely crazy. I think someone came in 2014, so that's actually 11 years. 11 years so far. So it's a great country to actually stay in. But other countries are good as well. But obviously I'm a bit biased with Thailand. So, all right, well, no questions in the chat. So next time, maybe I'll direct people to the actual YouTube live link so I can get some questions next time. Unless I've can't figure it out properly. I may not be able to figure this out. No, I think I have figured it out. All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great day, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. All right. How do I actually stop this? Hold on. How do I stop it? How do I stop it? Let me see. Yeah, okay. All right. See you later, guys. Thank you.